After 30 years in Delta Force, outsmarting enemies in places too dangerous to name, I thought my battles were over. I was wrong. The day I moved into my lakeside cabin, the HOA president showed up with warm cookies and a colder agenda, claiming half my property is hers. In a moment of panic, I dialed 911, a decision I'd regret instantly. But the real twist? That same HOA president would later make her own desperate 911 call, regretting it far more than I ever did. This is a tale of deception, hidden treasure, and justice that cuts like a knife. Buckle up, because you won't see this coming. I'm Mike Harper, a retired Delta Force veteran who traded war zones for a slice of paradise. A cabin with 200 feet of private lakefront and a stone dock perfect for fishing. The paperwork was bulletproof, surveyed 3 times, vetted by lawyers. I was hanging my medals, sorting my tackle box, savoring the peace I'd earned through decades of sacrifice. The lake shimmered, reflecting pine trees under a clear sky. Mike, I thought, this is your reward. Then she knocked. Evelyn Brooks was a chameleon. She arrived with homemade cookies, her smile practiced to perfection as she asked about my military days. Her entourage, a surveyor, and a legal advisor, were just her bar buddies in cheap suits, I'd later learn. She praised veterans, but I caught her snapping at her fake surveyor, her voice sharp as a blade. Move it. We're on a clock. She flipped back to charming me in an instant. For 20 minutes, we talked about service, the lake's history, and how the HOA needed leaders like me. I almost bought the small-town dream. Then, at minute 21, her facade cracked. Mr. Harper, she said, her tone ice-cold, pulling out a crisp folder. Section 7.3 of the 1974 HOA bylaw states 50 feet of your lakefront, including your dock, is common area. You have 60 days to comply, or we'll sue. I was blindsided. She'd used textbook psyops, build trust, then ambush. Her desperation betrayed hair-off frayed purse despite designer clothes. A phone call I overheard. I need 3 months to pay. Evelyn wasn't just power-hungry. She was drowning financially, and my land was her lifeline. After she left, my security cameras caught her lingering at my dock, taking GPS coordinates, measuring distances, and photographing water depth markers. She wasn't enforcing HOA rules, she was hunting something under my lake. That night, staring at my medals, I muttered, 30 years outwitting terrorists, and I'm played by a suburban shark? Evelyn Brooks had no idea the war she'd started. Her campaign hit hard. At 3 a.m., floodlights blazed into my bedroom for pipe maintenance. At 5:30 a.m., a lawnmower screamed next to my cabin, supposedly for common area upkeep. Crews with high-tech gear claimed to test water quality, but their equipment looked built for demolition. I overheard Evelyn berating a worker. This is too slow, have a deadline. Her mask was slipping. On a call, she panicked. I need that money in 90 days, or I'm done. She mentioned a $4 million debt. Whatever was under my lake was her salvation. On day 3, I saw divers scanning the lake bottom with metal detectors, moving in a grid like enemy sappers I'd tracked in Afghanistan. My instincts screamed threat, and I called 911. Trespassers are diving in my lake, doing something illegal. The dispatcher asked about weapons. No, but it's suspicious. The second I hung up, I knew I'd blown it. Delta Force Rule 3, never let emotions pull the trigger. Officer Jake Sullivan arrived, and Evelyn was ready with a briefcase of fake permits, playing the concerned HOA leader. I tried explaining the divers, but I sounded paranoid. She'd set me up to look unhinged. After the cop left, she smirked. Retirement can be tough, Mr. Harper. The VA has programs for veterans struggling with adjustment. Then the threat. Unnecessary 911 calls are harassment. The community doesn't tolerate outbursts. I was outplayed, and she knew it. But her win exposed her. Those divers weren't testing water, they were treasure hunters, pulling sealed containers from the lake. I overheard Evelyn ask, "Is this the right depth?" The diver replied, "Your father's notes say 15 feet northwest of the dock." Her father, Walter Brooks, had buried something under my lake 35 years ago, and Evelyn was risking everything to claim it. I went full recon. I set up legal cameras and listening devices around my property. My neighbor, Agnes Miller, a 72-year-old with a razor-sharp memory, became my intel goldmine. Over coffee, she revealed Walter, a former underwater welder, became HOA president in the 80s and got rich in 1987. No one knew where the money came from, Agnes said. He bought 3 lakefront lots, threw cash around like a mobster. In 1992, the FBI probed him for missing construction funds, but he was too clever to get caught. Agnes recalled him saying in '95, "If I vanish, it's buried where the HOA can't look." Online, I found Walter's company handled federal contracts in the 80s. In 1987, $2 million vanished from a lakefront project. The FBI suspected him but lacked proof. Evelyn, meanwhile, was in deep $200,000 borrowed against her house, shady creditors at her door, and a GPS tracker on my truck. I left it, feeding her fake intel by visiting banks and lawyers. She was so desperate, she swallowed it all. My cameras caught her team's systematic dives with professional metal detectors. She had Walter's notes, pinpointing the loot. Week 3, I recorded Evelyn asking, "Are these the right coordinates? If we're wrong, I'm dead." The diver confirmed buried metallic objects. Evelyn didn't want my land, she wanted legal access to dig, using HOA rules as a disguise. I got cocky and called my Navy buddy, Luke Mason, for backup. He warned, "Mike, you're obsessed. Slow down." He was right. While I played spy, Evelyn built a legal case, framing my surveillance as stalking. She spent $15,000 on lawyers, documenting my paranoia. At an HOA meeting, she presented a psychological profile, bribed neighbors to call me unstable, and secured a 100-foot restraining order, barring me from my dock. Humiliated, I watched neighbors shun me. Evelyn threw a champagne party, celebrating my defeat. But she got sloppy. Thinking I was out, she launched a full-scale excavation, divers, pumps, the works. Agnes called at 2 a.m. "They're ripping up your lake." They found metal containers. Trapped by the restraining order, I nearly quit. Then, staring at my Delta Force team photo, I snapped. "We never quit," I told myself. I called Luke, "Get your FBI guy. They're pulling stolen money from my lake." Agent Tom Carter took my evidence photos, recordings, logs in. After 2 weeks, made me an informant. Evelyn, overconfident, ran daylight dives, oblivious to FBI surveillance. We planted a fake treasure map in my desk, pointing to a public lake. Evelyn's team burgled my house, photographed it, and fell for it. I announced a community lake day, drawing neighbors and news crews. Evelyn, pressured to prove her historical project, dove in. Her team surfaced with a planted chest, a rubber duck, and a note. "Evelyn, try the community pool." MH. Her meltdown went viral, screaming, kicking gear, pure chaos. But the real sting hit on September 15th. Her team pulled cash, gold, and bonds from my lake. Evelyn, counting her loot, didn't see FBI boats closing in. Panicked, she called 911, reporting armed robbers. Her call led police to her crime scene. FBI agents arrested her for stolen federal property and conspiracy, her 911 call sealing her fate. Neighbors cheered as Evelyn was cuffed. My name was cleared, the restraining order lifted, and I got $600,030% of the $2.1 million recovered. I bought Evelyn's foreclosed house and donated it to a veterans charity. The HOA was reformed, the lake a community hub again. But her prison letter chilled me. "This lake isn't the only stash. Others know where to look. See you in 7 years." As I sat on my dock, an unmarked car watched my house. Was Evelyn bluffing? Or is this war just beginning? What's her next move from behind bars?